Here we go. We are back, and this episode is episode 5. If you haven't already seen the intro, it's going to be a significant episode because essentially the best way to define and articulate our next step is let's go. Let's go, meaning it is time to go and grow and take this to market. If you haven't been watching the entire series, I encourage you go back to episode 1 on day 1 of launching a creative business completely from scratch. But we are 5 episodes deep, and we are also, from the last call, celebrating our first customer, which was so exciting. And it's exciting for multiple reasons. One, it's always good as a creative to know that what you're creating is wanted and needed because often that can be the tough side of being a creative, is that you're like, I've got this amazing thing to offer the world, but the world doesn't want it. And so to sign a customer has been really exciting for Alex and I to validate what we're pursuing and doing is worthwhile. But it's also exciting because we haven't actually really launched anything yet. Like, we've done a lot of talking. We've definitely done a lot of talking, a lot of posting, but it's like vague and like there's not even a working landing page and there's not even. So the things we're talking about today is we are ready to launch, but to launch, quote unquote launch, we need marketing collateral. To produce marketing collateral and social media content, we actually need to like nail our messaging. And so that's what we're going to do in this episode is walk you through like how we're thinking about our messaging, what we've currently got, actually where we started with our brand, how we've sort of pivoted that more. Alex can share a bit more on that. I'll share a bit on that. And then what's exciting is we're going to show you that following the 5 profit pillars, there's no point marketing if you don't know how to sell or if you can't sell effectively. And so we're also going to walk you through our price guide, which is like a fundamental core asset in selling effectively, especially for high value customers, like saving everybody time and just giving you the goss. Like, this is how much it costs, this is the process, this is how it's going to roll, can actually help you qualify leads. And so marketing sales is on the topic for today. But before we jump in and I share my screen, Alex, we've signed a customer. We're getting absolutely pumped. You wanted to start posting last week. I said no, but that's just because we're wanting to do it. Like, how are you feeling? How's it going for you?
It's weird because it feels like we got our first project ages ago, but it wasn't ages ago. It's just that we've not we've got so much going on at the moment with wanting to post, and we're both just so excited about the whole process and wanting to share Vera more. I think like knowing that what we're doing is solidified by getting our first client has made us both really excited about the future. And yeah, that's why I've been so passionate about like creating and wanting to post and wanting to get it out. But understandably, we need to get our messaging right first before we do that. So.
Which is really exciting to like probably just explore for just a second what you've just said, because for most creatives, you can get trapped in your business where like you are just delivering a lot. And I know that for you at Cove, you're at this point where you're like wanting to grow team as well, because as a creative, the worst thing is like not feeling excited about what you're creating. And it's not even that like the stuff you're creating is bad or that the customers are bad, but you can get in this headspace where you're like so pressured and pushed and like you're not necessarily feeling it, that you start to be like gutted. And that's like just like not what we want for our individual companies, not what we want to build for Vera, but also for people watching this. If you're a creative, freelancer, founder, agency, whoever you are, it's like, if that's how you feel, we're going to like walk through how building team and systems and clarity means that you can like get back to just being a creative who like loves what they're doing, because that just like sucks.
Yeah, I think I've had this conversation quite a bit recently with like other creatives, and it first actually came up for me because I started to feel like that, where I was like, man, like Cove is growing so well, and like we've really got traction, but I'm at the point where I've got so much pressure that I just can't do all of it anymore. And you start to kind of lose the passion, and then no one really benefits from that. Like, it doesn't feel good for you, then the outcome with the clients aren't good. So it's like, it actually is okay that you're not doing 100% of the work. And I think that was a hard thing to kind of like wrap my head around as a creative, because that's why I started. Like, I started doing this because I love what I do and I love the creative side. But yeah, it's been a really big learning experience, and just the timing of it has been great with Vera, because we're obviously going through this process with eventually like having a team and building a team and having a really good like group of people that are experts in different fields. And
Totally. Oh man, this could be a whole nother episode on unlocking creative potential. And that's what we want to share along this series too, is that like, hey, if you're like struggling in your creativity, one, good news, you're human. And other good news is that because you're human, there's things we can do and that you can do to fix that, to help that, to guide that. But we should make a whole video on the lie that you can't productize creativity, because that's a big one. And I think what people mean by that and misunderstand about that is that, you can't productize outcomes because creativity in its essence is unique and it needs space and it needs to be tailored. But you can productize the process to an outcome. So I think that's what a lot of people get confused about, is they think that like when someone says like hire someone else, they get offended. So no, we're not productizing you. We're productizing the outcomes that you can produce through better like productizing the delivery, the system, even down to using AI. So like we should do a whole process on that, because that would be awesome. But let's get into this for Vera. I'll share my screen, and we're just honestly praying to the screen sharing people that this works. Here's Figma. It's here. It's good. It's here to stay.
Okay.
So if you can't see our faces anymore, you can say thank you, and I'm also sorry. But we're going to walk through this. So welcome to Vera's Just Chaos. If you're a creative and you don't have chaos like this in any area of your life, you're not a real creative. Like, if you've got to have one area that's like a mess. Like, it's either your desktop, it's your hard drives, it's your notebook, or it's your Figma board. And so we're just exposing to you all that we are creatives. But I wanted to show you like where we've started. So there's a whole lot of exploration that Alex has done, which is awesome. Like, we were starting from collating and curating all of the top developers, design studios, architecture firms, all of this like reference and renders that we'd created at Render Studio to pull together like what's the look and feel. Essentially the whole origin of Vera that kind of came pre this series, but the whole idea is that the Latin meaning of Vera is true or genuine. And the reason why that's important is that, yes, we did find Vera using ChatGPT, but the whole pursuit was like, we just want this to be everything that you need and nothing that you don't. Like, that's been our leading line for messaging, for value, for brand. And so Vera just came out of that because it just means true. It means genuine. And so we're like, hey, like, this is how we want to be known for, is that we give you truly everything you need and nothing you don't. We went on a whole brand exploration, which was awesome. And we originally landed on this like burgundy brick sort of a color. The idea was linked to, construction, and it's sort of just like matches well with earthy tones, goes well with greens, goes well with everything, but we've pivoted. So Alex, do you want to share a bit about what we've pivoted to?
So we started with this brick color, which I still love, but I think the more that we kind of went through this process with Vera, and the more that we spoke about like our messaging and what we're trying to achieve, we like one of our main messages is that we just want to strip it back in multiple different ways. And so we were looking at our branding and we thought, okay, well, we kind of need to showcase that through our branding as well. So we've taken away the brick color and we're stripping it back to tonal blacks, whites. It's not like a harsh core black that creatives will get this. Like, we never use just like a core black. But it's kind of like an off black. And again, like, we're just stripping it back. So overall, like, our brand is fairly simple, but the idea behind it is that Vera is kind of like a canvas. So eventually, obviously, like, the tiles that we've got currently that I've designed are Vera tiles, but the more projects and the more clients that we get on board, we will kind of like paint our canvas with their projects. And
Totally.
they're going to look different, obviously. Like they're going to have different color palettes, different logos, things like that. Yeah, so that's kind of the main idea, and I'm really happy that we've pivoted. I love
Totally.
it.
I think it's been like open to pivoting too. Like watched a great series that launched last night on YouTube by Frank from Founders Table. Sold a company called Realbase for $180 million in Australia to Domain maybe, but they've launched this thing called Founders Table. And he was talking about the fact that they launched a new business, but they had to pivot that idea because they found a better idea. But it's like a lot to sort of surrender that first, that idea is like, like you can, especially if it's your first creative business, you can kind of treat it like a baby, like, oh, but this is my baby. Like, this is mine. Like, I've invested in it. And it's like, yeah. But for Vera, this second option, this pivot was much more beneficial in the grand schemes of like, the way that, like you said, we want to paint the canvas. We want the customer's work that we produce to be the focal point. And so Vera to be a canvas is the idea that we just want to like set the stage. We don't want to be like a distraction. We want to be just that, canvas that our clients' work shines from. And so the black and the white, and it will work with any color palette, like whether it's a developer like other places in Dunedin who's got this beautiful like burgundy or reddy orange development, like that would pop off here. Or you've got a clay luxury site like what Tuakiti's done here with Harrow, with the tones, the grey tones, the sandy tones, the green, it pops. Like it's like you said, it's going to be really dynamic.
Yeah. And I think it just like really comes back to that message of like Vera has, like we've created Vera with prioritizing helping other people. It's not about us.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like removing that. And I think even that in itself can be a tricky thing to do because, it's kind of like that ego that you've sort of got to like strip back.
Well, it is. It's instead of it being like we want customers to not be like, oh man, have you seen like Vera Studios brand? Or have you seen that studio that's like their brand? Like we want it to be like, man, have you seen X development? It's phenomenal. Oh, I wonder who did that. Like we really want the awe to be in the work, and then they can wonder about who's done it. Like that's kind of how we want to position that instead of it being like, oh, here's like a flashy agency, like their branding. Like we just want all of our work and energy. Again, everything that our customers need, nothing that they don't. They don't need a flashy agency. Now, we're still positioning as premium. Like we're not going down the pack and save route where it's like, strip it back, just stick me in like low budget. It's like, no. Like we are a clean cut, high impact agency. We just don't have any fluff. So we've stripped out all the fluff, and which is really exciting. One thing that we're trying to work on is like our messaging. So one thing that you'll hear us say a lot is everything you need, nothing that you don't. And that's been really important for us. It's actually been like how we make decisions. So like from design to our service offering, which we'll show you in the next part of this video, like everything you need, nothing you don't is like a core internal, but then also external marketing, sort of a message. So we've been trying to figure out how do we fit that in? Because for example, we've got it down here, which I think it's like really effective. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Yeah.
This whole idea that the services you get from us, the attention you get from us, the metrics you get from us, it's like everything is down to what you actually need. And so I think that sentence doesn't need work, but it's how it incorporates into other messaging. For example, where's the best place to see it? Maybe here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fuzzy, but you can still read it. Empowering high-performing property developers to confidently market their premium developments. Now, this is a piece of messaging that we had early on, we were toying with, and it works, but it's like, how do we fit that into, like, does it work alongside, what do you think? Does that work alongside, like, everything you need, nothing you don't promise as well?
I just don't know if it feels a bit wordy, that's all.
Yeah.
If you scroll to the right and you go on the tiles, it won't be blurry. That's just because that one's a screenshot.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, like, again, I sound like a broken record, but it's just like, again, coming back to like not overcomplicating things. And I just don't want to get too wordy with our messaging. And you
It
know, like,
also is quite us centric, and this is what you
yeah,
mentioned. Like
yeah,
we're trying to be about the customer, and we mentioned it in the last episode about Marty from White Fox. Is that when I see White Fox marketing, and go and search this for yourself. It's a brilliant case study. If I see their marketing, hear their agent, or even see some of the homes that they list, they've mastered messaging in a way where I don't picture them. I actually do picture like their ideal customer,
yeah,
and like their persona sort of comes to mind, and that's like brilliant marketing when you're not just talking about like at White Fox we sell premium developments, or at White Fox we work with like aspirational people. It's like, no, like they're talking about the properties and the results and the people, and so you start to ask questions like, oh, am I a good customer for this service? And so we want that. So this one does talk about us quite a bit. It's like we're empowering high performing property developers to confidently market their premium developments. Like it is quite weird. It's kind of bland. It's descriptive, but it's not like, it doesn't make people like that. Wouldn't make a property developer think like, oh, like I'm fired up. They'd be like, oh,
yeah,
you've well described who I am, but it's not like we haven't talked about the result of working with us. So
yeah, yeah. It needs some work.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do some work, and we won't do it in this video, but we're going to work on how do we create messaging that's effective in capturing people's attention, the right people's attention, qualifying if they're a good fit for the results that we're promising, or that we're wanting to produce, and how do you get them to inquire? Because copywriting is like the number one skill to have effective sales. And so we're going to do a bit of work on that. So we'll show you in the next episode once we've launched this, we've refined it. But the goal here is to launch our marketing so that we can get focused on having meetings, calls, inquiries, in conversations with ideal prospects. It's cool. So what we'll do is we'll now move on to our next pillar, but also just the next part of this video talking about sales. And this is kind of the bridge between marketing and sales, but this is a price guide. Now, there are lots of ways to approach it. We're not saying this is the golden rule, but it is something that's been effective at Render Studio, which is very relevant because Render Studio serves a similar type of property developer. And so property developers, by definition, are time poor. They're not always resource rich, right? But the biggest thing is that they're time poor, but they want good results, like the best results. And so one of the best ways to serve that type of a customer is to just save them time. Saves them time, which saves us time, which means we can get to the point. Now, a price guide, in the way that we're designing it, has a title page, which we might work on as well. We've got a gallery to woo them on the type of work. As we progress, like Alex mentioned, we'll add case studies, mock-ups, more of our work that reflects what the service they're engaging with here.
Yeah.
This third page here is really important. It's something that we added later on in the piece, which is a process page, showing customers, again, saving time, like how does our offer work? How does our process unfold? And this is really raw. This is not a final process, but essentially showing a customer like, oh, like what does it look like? And can we add time frames to these deliverables? So the developers out of the gates, like, hey, essentially they're like, mate, not here to waste time. I want the best result. Your stuff looks good. How does it work? And so we're trying to answer that question of like, this is how it works. Like we do a discovery session, brand workshop, brand development, and then we need to refine this process more, but essentially showing the customer like, hey, this is how to work. Because that can answer a lot of woes. Like they might be in the position where they just have no idea how it even works to work with an agency. And so we want to answer that up front.
Yes.
Good. The next page, which is super important, which we want to talk about in this video, is pricing. Now, marketing, price guides, sales, pricing itself, it means nothing if you don't know who you're talking to. And so, yes, we have identified that Vera wants to work with like ambitious property developers. We've got an idea. We've shared that in these videos. We've landed a customer that fits that description. But within that, like effective marketing, like I said before, is using effective copywriting, and effective copywriting is only effective if you know who you're talking to, what they're struggling with, what they're going through, and what their desires are. And so we've kind of broken it down, these three personas, by we've got the beginner, the rebrander, and the established. And now this isn't like external language. This is just for us to understand how we're presenting our value. The beginner is like a property developer who has high ambitions, probably maybe even, has like capital, land. They're ready to go and they want to do it really well and they want to build brand from day one. That's the beginner. And so the beginner is going to need a company brand and their first project brand. That's kind of their needs. And so we're trying to understand like what would they need. That's what they need. Now, the rebrander is essentially going to receive the same service, but the way that they're coming in is different. They're probably coming in with a track history of completed projects. They're probably coming in with an existing brand. And to describe this developer, it's like the developer who has delivered a line of projects, but they weren't working on brand from day one. And so now they're like, hey, we've actually delivered a lot of property. We've actually built a brand without the branding. And we're known in the community or known in the market as someone who delivers for X, Y, Z reasons and values. We now want to build a brand, create a brand that actually embodies those principles. And so they will be coming, and what do they need? They need a company rebrand and then a project rebrand on their next site as well. The last one is the established. Now, this is like someone who has not only established construction company, a development company, but they've got an established brand. So there are a number of developers that we have like on our wish list, a dream list, who meet this needs. Like they're in the market, top of the market. They even have a brand that represents them being the top of the market for quality, customer service, impact, size, all these kind of things. But, and this is more the aspirational, the wish list client for Alex and I here at Vera, is they've come to know and come to see the work that Vera is producing, and they've gone, we want to work with you. So this is like the one of the ideal setups is when you start to build brand force. And so your brand as Vera gets known for the projects we've branded, the companies we've branded, the way we've treated customers, that we get some heavy hitters on our wish list going, hey, we've got a great brand. We've even got great project branding, but what you guys are doing is really special.
Yeah.
We want to work with you. And so that's just a bit of context. Is there anything I've missed out sort of on that persona piece?
Nailed it. I mean,
nailed it.
We had quite a process with getting to this. Like before, we didn't have the 3 personas, but then like throughout the process, the more that you and I spoke about this, we were like, okay, again, coming back to like, who are we helping? What's the solution? Like value first, like what's their problem? And that's kind of how we've sort of worked backwards from this, which I think is we'll see how it goes, but I think it's a lot better to go from this like problem, think of the problem, who are we helping, and then work backwards from that, which I think a lot of creatives don't do.
Yeah, we focus on our solution because like if you're a really good designer, you're probably just going to be thinking about like your unique design process and your, unique way of approaching things and your deliverables, which could totally be all awesome, but customers don't really want to know about that. They want to know with confidence and security that like they're going to get the best outcome that they want to achieve. And so talking about your solution isn't always the best way to land them. But if you talk about your solution through the lens of knowing your customer intimately and their problems and struggles and their goals, then when you present solutions, people are like, oh, these guys, Vera understands our problems. They understand where we want to head to. This solution feels like a perfect bridge to get there. That's how we've sort of come from that. So getting into the deliverables, now the whole essence of like what we're trying to build at Vera Studio is we're not just trying to like land work and get paid to design and like produce renders. Like we're here to build a profitable creative business that can build beyond our skill sets, beyond our limitations, and actually have Alex and I in our like lanes of genius so that the company can grow and get better results for the customers. Like there are natural limitations. A brand designer can only brand so much in a given month, right? And so you're going to hit a revenue, customer, and a satisfaction goal. if you stay on your own. Now, if you bring team in, that can help, but if you don't have systems and processes to empower that team to be efficient, then you just end up with overheads and like low margins. We're trying to build a studio that's like lightweight, as in everything you need, nothing you don't, and that reflects in our company. We want to have designers, we want to have landing page experts, obviously a growing render team, all this kind of stuff, but not at the expense of just like investing all of our margin into having a large agency. We want to be really efficient in what we deliver. And so it comes down to your services do need to be productized to the most that you can so that you can deliver at scale without being limited. And so all of that to say, the brand, the beginner, the rebrander, and the established need different things, but we're trying to deliver the service or structure the service in a way where essentially every customer is kind of getting the same deliverables from us, but in a different combination, maybe in a different order and at a different level because they're coming from a different context. But when we get to the tools, we want to be like, end of the day, we do brands, we do landing pages, we do info packs, and we do renders. Those are our 4 core deliverables. We don't want to add anything or bloat those things out, but we want to tailor it to the type of customer that is inquiring with us. So here, we've done a little bit of color coding. The green box shows somebody who is a beginner or a rebrander. Now, essentially, if you're a beginner, you've got no company brand, you're going to need a company brand. If you're a rebrander, you're wanting to change your company brand, so you're going to get a company brand. And so what we're offering here is the branding, which comes with the workshop, a dashboard, the deliverables, and a website. Now, website can be a real vague term. It can be an endless pit of profit, of abyss, where you just lose yourself. Or if you structure and offer it really well with expectations that it's what the client needs, then this is where you save yourself. So that's essentially what they get. Then the beginner and the rebrander are also going to be getting project branding. So I should have actually extended this out here. Project branding too, because if they're a beginner, they'll have a first site, like a sort of similar to our first customer. And the rebrander is wanting to tailor, change up, rebrand the way that they do that. So as you'll start to see, we've got recurring themes through here in our services, so that as we offer more, we're not really compromising. We're kind of delivering the same thing, but at a different level. Hopefully that's making sense for people. But then the established is essentially just getting the project service. And so this is important because this is how we've done our pricing. Essentially, each thing that we've delivered, we've bucketed into a 40 grand fee. So a project brand, info pack, landing page, and renders is coming in at 40K. Now, this is like, I've got to let you know, this is our starting point because there's a whole lot of value in here. But to mitigate the profit risk here, we have defined each of these deliverables really clearly, and that's really important. Like, you can't just say branding and then get into the work. Like, we'll be defining what is brand, like what comes with brand. And that will be in the next document that we show, probably in the next episode, which is how we build our proposals and agreements, because we just make sure everyone's on the right page. But this is how we've kind of approached it. Like, we've got essentially these productized services. Now, obviously, every brand is going to be unique. Every info pack is going to be unique. Every render is going to be unique. This isn't about compromising creativity. This is about structuring it and making it as efficient as possible. Because I think people might watch this and think that we're just like going to pump out, like, I don't know, some AI junk or some like Canva templates. It's like, no. This is just about the way we deliver the service is going to be productized, but the actual outputs are going to be fantastic. They're going to be unique. It's going to be for the customer and all of those sort of things. But building a price like this will save headaches. So that's kind of us on the price guide. And we're going to go away and like flesh this out just to make sure that the language works, to make sure that the process page is really clear and it is aligning to what we are going to deliver. And then we'll be ready to launch this thing.
I know. Yeah, we've also had a few conversations that have been happening with potential new customers as well. So Alex and I are kind of on the edge of our seat trying to get this done, but also trying not to rush it at the same time, because we need to obviously get it right. We want to remove the perfectionism, but this kind of thing we need to get right before we delve into those conversations.
Definitely.
But exciting that those kind of conversations are sort of organically happening.
Yeah, like
before
I followed up two of our inquiries yesterday who are wanting like the brand and info pack sort of a package, and they want renders too, which is really exciting. So we've got two of them who are literally, one of them's just waiting on RC feedback from council, and then the other one's just waiting on board approval. So it's like really exciting. I didn't even tell you that, but really exciting. So we've got more work that's like ready to go, but making sure that you get these fundamentals right will ensure that you stay creative, become profitable, and actually enjoy the business that you own and grow. And that's our whole goal here. So that's sort of it for today's episode. What you can expect from us next is if you follow us on Instagram, either of us, all of us, you're going to be seeing, in the next few days, we'll be pumping this out. But in the next episode, we'll recap and show you, we'll give you a quick update on the final price guide, if we've generated any new leads, if we've sold any more sales, what marketing feedback's, producing, and it'll be the journey continued.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, everybody. That is us. Subscribe.